Services webinar on Australia and New Zealand. It might not be evening where you are, so good afternoon and good morning if you're in that part of the world where it is morning and afternoon. Just to introduce myself, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Kerr. I'm the owner and director of Network Migration Services South Africa, and also of New Zealand as well, in conjunction with my partner in New Zealand, Peter Lemmer. And I'm a licensed immigration advisor for Australia and New Zealand. You'll see on the first slide there that I'm showing you now, my MARA registration number is there, which is the Migration Agents Registration Association, and that is to do with Australia, and also my IAA, which is the Immigration Advisors Authority registration number for New Zealand. For New Zealand, you need to be registered, whether you're onshore or offshore. If you're giving immigration advice, be careful with that, please, ladies and gentlemen. There are a few organisations out there that do allow non-licensed advisors to give the initial immigration meetings and advice. That's completely against the rules and regulations. Please make sure you're dealing with a licensed advisor, especially if it's New Zealand. If it's Australia and you have offices in Australia, you have to be registered as well. But if you have offices outside of Australia, you don't have to be registered. So again, please be careful because, there are one or two organisations out there that allow, as I've just mentioned, non-licensed advisors to give advice. And more often than not, it's actually wrong. To obtain a license, you need to, of course, do a specific course. For New Zealand, for example, it's 3 years. I'm going to invite Desiree Lindeque into our meeting shortly. She is a provisionally licensed advisor. I'm mentoring her, and she's based in our Auckland office. She is also South African. She immigrated a few months ago with her husband and children to New Zealand. And clearly she is also, well, not clearly, but she is our operations manager. The processes, of course, for New Zealand and Australia are completely different. So I just need you to listen tonight. I'm going to do a slightly different webinar tonight. This is the last webinar we will do of a combined Australia-New Zealand webinar because of the changes that are happening in both countries at the moment. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. We've decided to do separate webinars for Australia and separate webinars for New Zealand. Okay, and you can look on our website at Network Migration, of course, to have a look at when those webinars are, or you can email me at andrew@networkmigration.com. All our emails are our first names at networkmigration.com. So Peter's would be Peter at Network Migration, Desiree at Network Migration, Andrew at networkmigration.com, etc., etc. I'm going to show you probably, 12, 15 slides tonight. I just really want you to take screenshots of them if you're not sitting in front of a laptop. If you are load shedding, by the way, in South Africa at the moment, some regions started load shedding at 8 o'clock. Please be aware that we will get an email out to all of you tomorrow. Ruan, and thank you for putting tonight together as always, Ruan. Ruan is the head of our marketing, and he will send everybody that is booked tonight, the 146 people that are booked this evening, he will send everybody a copy of this particular webinar. But please feel free to contact us, andrew@networkmigration.com, because we do not charge at all for the information we're going to give you. And we're happy to give the information from beginning to end on how this process works, who you'd be dealing with, what are the costs involved when you're dealing with the relevant authorities, etc., etc. And also, we'd also give you a separate quote onto it to be able to assist you with whatever stages you want us to assist you with your migration journey. So if you email me your CVs and your basic family structures, please. So if you're going on a skilled migrant application, which is what we're mainly going to talk about tonight, getting into Australia or New Zealand, based on your skills, qualifications, and or work experience, then I need to see your CV. I don't care what it looks like, but I do need to know your family structures. I need to know, if you're in a relationship, I need to know whether you have children, and I need to know your respective ages of you and the family, please, because clearly when it comes to scoring points for specific countries, especially Australia, I need to know your ages. And up until quite recently, I also needed to know your ages for New Zealand. But under the new simplified skilled migrant category, as long as you're under 56 years old, I don't necessarily need to know your ages. But tell me what they are anyway. I'm 42, my wife's 38. We've got 3 children of, 12, 6, and 4. And then I know how to quote you accordingly. So please send me the CVs to andrew@networkmigration.com. Ruan might type that in there again. Thank you to so everybody can look and see exactly what my email address is, and send me the CVs, give me a family structure, and also just an idea of which country you want to go to, clearly, because, you know, we're not mind readers. So once I've emailed you back the processes, because I will email you back the full procedures, costs, timeframes, and processes. And then if you want to have a consultation, either direct face-to-face in our offices in Auckland or in Johannesburg, you're very welcome to, or of course a Zoom, Skype, Teams, or Google Meet. It doesn't matter. And I consult personally from Mondays to Saturdays, and the consultations are free. We don't charge for them at all. So if you want to have a one-on-one, you know, you might as well, because whether you end up using us or not, or going to another agent, or of course doing this process yourself, is completely up to you. Thank you, as always, to our service providers. Some of them are on the first slide there. We are quite literally a one-stop shop. The reason being, Network's been around. I'll just, you know, show you the next slide, basically. About Network, we've been around since 1989. It was a franchise-based company in those days. I joined the company. I came to Africa in 1990 on a business contract with a publishing house. And my contract was 2 years. And after those 2 years, in 1993, I actually was going to go home. But I had an opportunity to join Network Migration as a consultant. So I did in 1993. And in 1996, I actually bought the company. I bought the South African rights to Network Migration Services. So I've been a consultant now for 30 years. I'm proud to say we've successfully immigrated well over 16,000 odd families. We do on average somewhere between 20 to 40 families a month. We have a staffing content of about 24 people in Network, 14 or 15 in the Joburg office. We've got 4 or 5 people that work remotely, and we have a New Zealand office with 3 people in it. We also, and one of our New Zealand team is actually based in Joburg as well. So to help with the New Zealand processes of course, that all essential service of helping you and training you on how to find work. And I will be inviting Peter Lemmer into the conversation soon, just to discuss the job search process that Peter's been involved in since its inception 8 years ago when he immigrated himself to New Zealand. I'm going to do Australia visa and points. I'm not going to go too deeply into the point system. I'm going to show you screenshots. I'm going to do them first, then I'm going to do New Zealand. And then, if you want to find out about our relocation partners, from anything from moving pets, and we use a company based in Cape Town, Animal Travel, unbelievably, they're a family-orientated company. They're unbelievable with your fur babies. And so, but whatever, opening bank accounts, meeting at airports, arranging accommodation, flights, furniture, pets, shifting money. We partner with all of the relevant organizations, from the money movers through to the banks, from the pet removal people through to the furniture removal people. And, you know, we are literally a one-stop shop. So please don't hesitate to contact us if you want that free information that we're happy to give you, okay? I'm actually going to just invite, well, we talked about us. That's me a couple of years ago. Australia. I'm going to be inviting Desiree in from inception. The reason is I'd like Des to, I'm just going to fire some questions at her that have been quite pertinent to lately. And then I'm going to be inviting Peter in when I start the New Zealand. But Des, I did ask Des if she wanted to be invited, and she said yes. So, excuse me, wrong one. So I'm going to be inviting her in just a second. I've just got to find her, because when it comes to knowledge and understanding, this young lady is an absolute guru. So to the wing. So Desiree, you should get an invitation shortly, and you will be able to log in. So while Des is doing that, I'm just going to go to the next slide. Australia's huge, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the biggest countries in the world, landmass-wise. It is also 26 million odd people, very diverse cities: Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, Darwin, Adelaide, etc. They are extremely different types of cities, etc. Hey, Des.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Your morning, my evening. What time is it over there? About 7:10 in the morning?
Yes.
Cool. Des, I just wanted to welcome you in from the get-go, because I've been getting some questions recently about clearly both countries, but specifically Australia and the way they seem to be allocating. And one question that came in a couple of weeks ago, and in fact it was in the chat room, was the specific delays when it comes to some of the assessing authorities. Now, just before I do ask you your opinion on that, I just wanted to explain, as I said at the very beginning, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tonight mainly talk about the top visa category here, skilled migrant. If you want information on student or family or business or work visas, or spousal visas or investor visas or intercompany transfers, whatever, please just send us an email. You can send it to myself or Desiree. Initially me, of course, but of course Desiree is a professionally licensed LIA for New Zealand, so she is also able to give direct advice to you. But once Desiree is fully licensed for New Zealand, which will take another year or so, how long more, Des? Another year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's also going to use the Trans-Tasman Agreement to get licensed for Australia. So she is quite legally able to give information on Australia as well. And quite frankly, I'm an old man. She's a young woman. She has a far more active and stronger memory than I ever have. So I do rely heavily on Desiree. She is our operations manager, was in South Africa, and when she immigrated, we kept her in that position because Des and her team are frankly awesome. So I'm not going to talk about family, business, work, student, spouse, etc., etc. I'm going to mainly talk about skilled migrant. And Des, I'm just going to let people take a screenshot of the first page here. I've always described this as slightly misleading, Des, because bar tradesmen who are basically being accepted on 65 points mainly, then most other occupations aren't, or would you not agree with that?
No, I do agree, especially at the moment with, as Andrew mentioned, the limited number of allocations that were given to each state. We are seeing that go up, that 65-point threshold go up quite exponentially because states are not just wanting to give away those positions because they're not sure if they're going to be given any more allocations during this financial year. So they've made it very, very competitive to be able to get a nomination into those states.
Just to give an example of that, I am a friend of Ruan's, actually, a young teacher going to Australia. She's lodged an application, not using us, she's done it on her own, but she'd like some advice. So I had a chat with her today, and she's literally sitting on 65 points, and she's a primary school teacher. So first of all, she's not on the main skills list. There are 3 types of skilled visas you can apply for, what they call the 189, which is what I call the blue chip visa, live where you want, do what you want. And you're on what we call the medium and long-term strategic skill shortage list. Please take a screenshot of the next page as well, and I'll just touch on these things in just a second. Hold on, where's my cursor? There it is. Just take screenshots of those pages, guys, and I'll do a 5-minute summary on them in just a second. But this young teacher with her husband and children, can't remember whether he had children, I don't think so. Anyway, so she's lodged the application, and now she needs to monitor the states to see what state she's on. Now, I only found her on one state today, which is South Australia, as a primary school teacher, and I did check with the team on that one there, so I believe she is. But the point is this South Australia, for example, last financial year, and Australia's financial year is July 1st to June 30th. So from the July 1st of 2022 to June 30th of 2023, South Australia was allocated 8,500 spots. This year, they've been allocated 2,500 spots. So that's a really big difference. And bottom line is you've got to be in it to win it. So you've got to get into the system in order for you to be eligible to be assessed. So if we just come back to this page, you'll notice that Australia's age, cut-off age for skilled migrant is 45 years old. So if you're over 45 and you want to do a skilled migrant application into Australia, the bottom line is you can't. Okay? It's as simple as that. You need to be under 45 years old at the time that Australia selects you, not at the time you start the process. So if you're turning 45 next month, for example, bottom line is it's just no way it's going to happen because you can't get everything loaded and done and English tests done and skills assessments done in a month. Which brings me to a question, Des, that somebody did ask on the vet assessed delays. Now, most tradesmen and of course, a lot of people with degrees are assessed by vet assess. Are the delays just in the trades assessment or across the board?
So we're seeing a lot of delays, not just with VETAssess, but with a lot of the skills assessing authorities. And I think the reasons are the same. So what happened is over COVID, obviously, Oz put their visa processing on hold. What I don't think they expected is the number of applicants that they got in the last financial year. So they met their quota pretty early on in the year, and they had to basically freeze everyone's applications that were in queue. The problem it's created in this financial year is even though they reset that net migration that they're looking for, they're being able to fill it with those applications that are still in queue. So they've still got a whole bunch of applications that are coming into skills assessing authorities. They've been inundated with applications because there's still all this interest, but none of the skills assessing authorities can actually meet the interest that they're getting. And I don't think DHA is able to meet it either, because they've gone from 3 months to process subclass 189 to taking 13 months. So
really?
I do.
So that's from the date of, and that's not even counting your assessment in English requirement.
No, so that's not counting EOI. Getting the actual invitation. It's from the day of submission, that last final visa application. So I do think everyone is still reeling a bit from COVID.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But okay, so basically now, in the old days, Australia used to probably take about 9 to 12 months. We're probably looking at closer to 15 to 24 months now for the whole process.
Yeah,
maybe even longer.
On average, they're saying a straightforward application is 13 months. Not everyone is lucky enough to have a straightforward application, especially when you're doing it on your own. And the only reason I say that is because a lot of people that come to us after the fact have actually claimed points incorrectly in their invitations to apply. And the problem that you create if you do that is once that invitation to apply is selected, especially from a state, the states have a one selection policy, which means that they won't invite you to apply again. And you can't then use that invitation, because if your points are wrong and you've actually claimed more points than you're eligible for, you won't be granted that visa. So even if you take up that invitation, they'll likely decline it.
Can you lodge more than one EOI, Des?
Yes, you can.
I mean, I know you can lodge 189s, 190s, 491s. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the difference is 189, as I said, blue chip. Live where you want, do what you want when you're selected, of course, and pay the processing fees. 190 is state nominated. Each state is allocated lists from federal government, and once those lists are filled, then they close. And they are allocated normally a minimum twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. But what we're suggesting here is that might not happen because the allocations are so slow. And then, of course, the 491, which is a new visa that came out in November 2019, just before COVID, where you get 15 bonus points for. You can see this all on this first page here. And it's a visa that's issued to you for 5 years. You still get free schooling and healthcare. However, in those 5 years, you cannot live in Sydney, Brisbane, or Melbourne for the first 3 years, and you've got to earn a certain amount of money. So is it the same? For example, let's say I'm the teacher today. I've lodged my application, I've loaded it, and I'm sitting there. I'm not going to get automatically nominated by the states, am I? Unless it's New South Wales. I have to monitor the states to see when my occupation comes on and be ready to push the submit button, correct? Or am I wrong?
Yes, you're correct. So the nice thing is a lot of the states have done an ROI system, which is a registration of interest. So previously it was only New South Wales where you could put an EOI in and then just sit back and kind of hope for an invitation. All the other states required that you pay a nomination fee and actually make an application to them directly. But a lot of the other states are now following suit. Canberra now has a Canberra matrix that you can put in, which is also like a mini EOI where you, indicate what your points are for age, skills, and qualifications. Victoria has followed suit with their ROI process. So they are
just coming a bit soft, is.
Sorry, I was just saying there are states that are following suit with doing a registration of interest.
Okay, thank you. And listen, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a question, while Desiree and I are both here, because we both can't read and work at the same time, please put them into the chat room. You'll see there on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the chat room. Just type a question in there if you've got a question, and we'll happily answer it for you. And don't forget to contact us if you want, the information and the free consultations. Anyway, just on this first slide here, you'll notice English language. For Australia, it's pretty much compulsory, even if you come from a country where you are exempt from studying the English, like Ireland or England or Scotland or America or Canada or whatever. Because even though you're exempt from studying English, that's congratulations, but you can't claim the points. And it's highly likely that you'll need the points either to reach this 65 here or to get to the necessary selection mark. For example, accountants, to my knowledge, have not been selected on anything less than 80 since 2016 on the medium and long-term strategic skills shortage list. So you might be thinking, oh, God, I'm going to lodge. I'm sitting on 70 points. I'm an accountant, and I'm going to be selected. You're probably not. And what happens is you're going to stay in that pooling system for 2 years. And if you're not selected in that 2 years, you can just reload it. But, of course, in 2 years' time, you're 2 years older. So everything may have changed. You'll notice all the points for work experience. The work experience you're claiming must be related to the qualification, of course, that you've had assessed. And you'll notice your points for qualifications here. In at least 90% of cases, you have to have a qualification. You'll need a degree, a trade, or a PhD or a doctorate. You must have a qualification unless you're an extremely senior manager. You still might not get in, but you're assessed by the Institute of Management and Leadership, and they don't necessarily require you to have a qualification, i.e. a degree, or the Australian Computer Society, which also doesn't necessarily require you to have a qualification. But quite frankly, if you don't have one, it's because you can't claim the points. You don't get the points because you've worked for 5 years, for example. You can claim the work experience points, but not the qualification points. So it's going to be extremely hard to hit the minimum requirements if you don't have a formal qualification. And this, of course, is just, you can see there, you get points if your spouse's occupation and qualifications are on the same skills list as you. Get points if you're single. You get points if your spouse sits the English. There are the points on the left-hand side you get for Australian nomination, etc. So, bottom line with Australia is, as we've just discussed, the process is going to take at least 12 to 24 months minimum. I mean, your skills assessments could take somewhere between 1 month to 6 months, depending on which assessing authority you're using. And then, as Desiree's pointed out, that once you load the application, they have already announced that on 189s, for example, the processing times are around 13 months. So you're looking at 1 to 2 years from the time you make the decision to go, probably 2 years as opposed to 1 year. So be prepared, be ready, and understand the process. And once you've sent us your CVs, and of course you've had that consultation with me, whether you use us or not is irrelevant, ladies and gentlemen. You'll at least then understand. As I think the young lady that I was speaking to today, once I'd had a chat with her, she actually then asked for our help with the EOI and the state nominations, because quite frankly, she was at a loss. She really didn't know. Randair's asking about back to the vet assess time delay. It's about 6 months. In fact, they're not assessing anyone this year, are they, Des? That's lodged. That's new.
Yeah, so Vet Assess Trades is not doing any new applications for certain trades. Again, I think this is due to their availability for technical assessments in South Africa. So they've only got 2 assessors that do these assessments in South Africa, and all their spots for this year have already been booked up because of that delay that I was speaking about earlier, and just having all this interest that they can't get back to. So, yes, Vet Assess Trades, there is that delay. On Vet Assess Professional side, that is also a delay taking around 20 weeks at the moment from their standard 12 to 14 weeks.
Okay, thanks for that. And what about the trades that require practical tests, i.e. Cape Town with electricians, plumbers, refrigeration mechanics, etc.? I'm assuming they're certainly not flying any Vet Assess teams in here to do the practicals for this year.
No, so the spots that they had available for the practicals and the technicals have already been booked up. So they're unable to take any more for this year, which is why they're not accepting any more applications.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Right, I'm going to squiz on to New Zealand, and I'm going to invite your colleague, into this, Peter, but I need you to stay on if you don't mind, please, Des. So let me just get Peter, if you're there, and you are there because you welcomed everybody earlier. I'm just going to invite you into the stage to the wing. And Peter will just give you a little bit of history on himself. Peter's a long friend of mine for many, many years and was immigrating to New Zealand with his family. And we sat down together 8-9 years ago and decided to go into business together in New Zealand. And Peter's expertise has really been in managing and the job training process. And there you are. Hi, Peter. And the job placement process. So, as you can see, I've decided to get young Desiree in today to take a little bit of the pressure off me and help me chat. So I'm assuming you guys are going to see each other later. So enjoy your day. And I just wanted to say, Peter and Des, and I have said this in a blog the other day, and I can say it now, congratulations to Christopher Luxon and the National Party. Yippee.
Yeah, we're all very excited.
Yeah, we're all extremely excited about National taking the reins of New Zealand government. I'm not being disrespectful to Labor. I won't go into the reasons why I'm excited, but we're really excited about National's progressive thinking. And quite frankly, most of my life, and I'm 60-odd years old, National have been running New Zealand, and I know that they've done a bloody hell of a job. So let's hope they get back to that very, very quickly. So, Peter, just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what NMS New Zealand does.
Yes, we arrived there, 7 years ago, starting up this business from scratch, and have built it up. I've built up the whole job search, training, and relocation side of the business. And as Andrew, as you know, the difference between Australia and New Zealand is Australia, you get your visa to go across before you have a job, but in New Zealand, you have to get a job first before you can get your visa. So job search.
What I'll do, Peter, and I forgot to do this, my apologies. Let me just run the 30-second promo. Okay?
Okay. Cool.
Where no New Zealanders are available for a job, employers can hire a skilled migrant worker using the Accredited Employer Work Visa, or AEWV. Before inviting a migrant to apply for an AEWV, employers must become accredited with Immigration New Zealand and complete a job check for the role they want to fill. This means migrant workers can have more confidence about the role they are coming to New Zealand for. To gain accreditation, an employer must be a genuine business in a good financial position and have no recent history of breaching employment or immigration law or business standards. The job check confirms that the job pays the market rate, and the terms and conditions of the contract comply with New Zealand's employment standards. Before applying for a job check, employers need to advertise most roles to prove there are no New Zealand citizens or residents available for the job. After an employer's job check has been approved, you will be sent an email containing a link and a job check token. This means you can access the online portal and apply for your visa. The application process is all done online, where you will fill in your details and upload supporting documentation. Immigration New Zealand will check if you meet the requirements for the AEWV and that you have the skills and experience the employer is seeking. Once you are employed, your employer must provide you with information to help you settle into life in New Zealand and give you time to complete Employment New Zealand's online modules on employment rights while you are at work. The AEWV is designed to ensure only good employers can hire migrant workers and helps prevent migrant exploitation. More information about the AEWV is on our website.
Sorry, Peter, I don't normally show that before you talk. But so that's what Peter was mentioning, ladies and gentlemen. AEWV, you can take a screenshot of this next page. It's sort of how it actually works. Sorry, Peter, all yours.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. So New Zealand is different in that you need that job offer first. Now, there are quite a lot of big differences between New Zealand and South Africa and the perceptions or how things work in South Africa than in New Zealand. So the first thing is that recruiters won't go out and actively search for work for you. Recruiters will only assist you if they're there and then currently have a job and the employer is accredited and they are able to and want to appoint a foreigner. So a lot of people start job search, think, the recruiter will find me a job, but that's not the case. The second thing is that majority of people will have to come and fly across to New Zealand and come on job searching, sort of a job searching period. And the only jobs that you will sort of get a job online are in the health professions, so doctors, physios, nurses, those type of roles, all the sort of healthcare roles. Mechanics, motor mechanics, diesel mechanics can get jobs online. You can get early childhood teachers and teachers can get an online job, but all the rest of most of the other job types will have to come across to New Zealand. So when you come across to New Zealand, you need to be prepared for this trip. It doesn't help you land here and you have no idea who you're going to meet with. Now, what we do is we teach you using LinkedIn, and LinkedIn in New Zealand is a business tool. So people are daily on LinkedIn. They learn through LinkedIn. They network through LinkedIn. And we teach you how to use LinkedIn to network with people and set up your own coffee meetings before you even arrive in New Zealand. Excuse me. Ooh, sorry, that's the hay fever for the spring coming in. So we help and teach you how to network at 5 different levels. So we use a 4-pillar approach, and we go through pillar 1, which is search engine optimizing your LinkedIn profile. We get your profile to look very professional and get all the information across in the shortest time possible. Pillar 2, we teach you to connect with people at 5 different levels. Now, there's quite, normally you connect with the HR manager and the MD or something like that, or somebody else. We teach you at 5 different levels how to connect and how to start setting up discussions and coffee meetings. On your arrival, you've set up coffee meetings to network and even for interviews. So the third level, the third pillar, is to teach you how to market and brand yourself so that people start recognizing your name and start recognizing you. So when you want to invite them for a coffee or for a meeting or an interview, then they will recognize your names. Oh, I know about this person. And the fourth, and I think the most important part of all this process, and I've had immensely good feedback on this, is the interview training that we've done and the culture training. There's a very, very big difference between the culture of New Zealand and the interview technique. And if you aren't prepared for it, it'll throw you. And you'll think, that was just a fun chat, but it was actually the interview happening. And because New Zealanders interview totally differently, you need to understand what types of questions they're going to ask and how to answer them correctly. So that's the fourth pillar that we'll do. We also then do relocation assistance. This relocation assistance is that before you come across to New Zealand, we send you a lot of information, checklists on what to do before you leave your country. Then we send you a whole pack on how to go about your life in New Zealand. So in New Zealand, how to get a tax number, how to open bank accounts, how to buy a car, how to, it's the how-tos of doing everything, rent a home. Renting a home here is totally different in South Africa. When you rent a home, there's normally 10 other applicants at the same time. So we teach you the techniques to make sure that you're sort of right ahead of the rest, and that you are favored to get the home rental. And our clients mainly get a home rental on the first or second attempt. So we meet with you before you leave for New Zealand. We meet you on arrival in New Zealand as well at our offices, or if you're in a different city, we do it online as well to welcome you, just to help you all along the way. Our success rate of people getting jobs is high if you do the training correctly. And that's one proviso. If you're not going to put in the time and effort to make it happen, it won't happen as easily. But the people I see that make work of finding work in New Zealand are 95% successful, and also much quicker successful. If you're going to take it slow, it's going to take a long time to get a job. If you put effort into it, you'll get a job quicker. And there's a saying, nothing is easy that is worth it in the end. So you've got to put in the effort. If you listen to the training modules, if you listen to the advice we give you, you increase your success rate 1,000-fold.
That brings me to a point, guys. I mean, clearly immigration is not a cheap exercise, and I don't care what country you're coming in from, be it the States, be it Europe, be it England, wherever, or Britain, or be it South Africa, etc. The issue we've got in the African continent, of course, is a lot of our currency is quite weak. So if you're going to do this, you need to know what this is going to cost you. You need to understand that you're not getting a job in the next suburb. You're getting a job in another country, and you have to get there. And if you are a family of four, you'll be eventually, if not straight away, but later, you'll be bringing your family over. And Des, I know I've put you on the spot with this question. How long have you been there now? 3 months? 4 months?
Since March.
Gosh, okay. So, and as a young mother with a job and with a husband and 2 young children, I mean, what sort of hurdles did you already had a job, thankfully, because we hired you. But what sort of other hurdles did Peter's talking about assistance with the full relocation package, and we have a relocation division. How did you find it? I mean, I know your sister was already there, but how did you find it? What was your biggest hurdles?
I think your biggest hurdles are familiarity. And I know I always explain it when people come over, 5 minutes before they chat to Peter in the office. I'll say hello and offer them coffee. And the first thing we chat about is we miss familiarity. And, in New Zealand, everything is different. Everything from packing your own shopping, which you're not used to doing your groceries at, 9 o'clock at night because that's the most convenient time for you, or, putting in your own
petrol in your own petrol tank.
Yes. So, a lot of these things are very different, but it's also given me the perfect opportunity to spend more time with my family. And that is the one part about New Zealand that I really love. So, you obviously have a garden to maintain, you have a house to maintain, and you don't necessarily have the help that you used to have in South Africa. So, me and my mom lived together at one stage, so I had a lot of support. And here in New Zealand, you don't have that same support, so it means that you have to do everything yourself. I
did have a client that asked me today, can she take her domestic worker with her? So, and I know, you'd love to have that sort of help in New Zealand, but it's just not available.
Yeah. So the nice thing
is available, but at an extremely expensive cost.
Yes. No, I don't think you'd want to part with that sort of money here. But the nice thing is it's a nice weekend exercise of now doing things together, doing the garden together, spending time together, even doing the shopping together. The kids, after a bath and eating, will jump in the car and we'll go do our evening shopping all together. By the time I get them back in the car, they're sleeping. So it's fantastic.
Perfect. And from a safety perspective, Des, coming from a country where you literally you wouldn't leave your kids in the park on their own. I know you've got 2 very young children, but Peter, I'd imagine you're teenagers, mate. In fact, your daughter's not a teenager anymore. Half the time, you probably don't even know where they are.
Yeah, no, we don't actually. My son, with his mates, they'll go off. He's now got his license. Just turned 18, but he's been driving for 2 years already now. And yeah, you just don't know where they are, and you just get WhatsApps. Oh, I'm on this beach with this bunch of friends today. We going for a drive on the beach, and we'll be back sort of tonight at 9. And then they have having a fire, doing a fire on somebody's farm or something out in what they call the Wop Wops, just out of the city.
Out in the Wop Wop. God, I haven't heard that terminology for a while.
Yeah. And
out in the bush.
And he used to get on his bicycle and just disappear for the day in holidays. And you just here now, I'm at this friend's house now, I'm at that friend's house now, we're going to this beach. And yeah, you're not worried one bit about their safety. So yeah, it's amazing the change it makes in your children as well, and the opportunities.
Well, I have asked you. Well, exactly. As you know, my 2 children are there. James is working in a sports store, I believe. I found that out from from his stepsister tonight. So we'll wait and see, and looking forward to seeing you guys in December. But Peter, thank you. I mean, you're welcome to stay, but I'm assuming you got meetings?
Yeah, I've got meetings, well, in 20 minutes time. I'd just like to add one thing, is that if you sort of want to put the feelers out and only do the job search training on its own first, we can quote you separately to do the job search training and see how your chances are for getting work in New Zealand. And if you then do sign up with the immigration, the visa fees, we offset the job search training amounts you've paid already against the visa fees. So you don't, it's not on top of, it's included in the price. Now, if you sign up with Andrew, our fees, well, it's included in Andrew's price, and it's effectively a free service if you join up for the visas, just for visa services, where we include the job search training for you. But if
that's a very good point, Peter, because it does introduce you to the way that you need to be looking realistically at the job market. I mean, there was Desmond on here earlier. He said, I'm a diesel mechanic. I mean, we know he's going to get a job, or likely to get a job. He's a Zimbabwean without traveling. But if he was an accountant, we would be saying there's no bloody way, excuse my language, there's no way you're going to get a job probably without being physically in New Zealand, because it's occupational dependent. So, if you, what Peter's saying is it's a nice introduction to New Zealand as a whole, because frankly, without the job offer, you're going nowhere, because nobody can lodge an application, a skilled migrant application for New Zealand without a genuine offer of employment from an accredited employer. Simple as that. So, Peter, you're welcome to stay there. I mean, I don't need to take you off the meeting if you want to. I'm happy to take you off, but I'm just going to go into, this will take 10 minutes with Desiree just to run through ANSCOs and hourly rates and whatever. So you want to stay, or do you want me to delete you?
Just take me off, because I've got to get ready for my next training session with a client in South Africa. But if people want a separate quote for job search, just email me, peter@networkmigration.com.
I'll put it in the chat room quickly.
Thanks, Des.
Thanks very much, Des. Thanks, Peter. Have a nice day. We'll chat in 12 hours.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Right. Remove them. I've removed Peter. Yes, I have. Right. So, Des, feel free to jump in here if you want to. But just very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, ANSCO stands for Australia, New Zealand Standard Classification of Your Occupation. And in front of you on this slide are the salaries that you must earn depending on your ANSCO code if you are going to be successful with an application under the Accredited Employers Work Visa application. Okay? So most of you will be on ANSCOs 1 to 3. And therefore, you've got to have a minimum salary of $29.66 an hour, which is, as you can see, just under $62,000 a year. ANSCOs 4 and 5 are normally for lower skilled applicants. And if you want a residency pathway, you need to be earning $44.49, which is $93,000 a year, which is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, if you are deemed lower skilled. And there you can see you get bonus points there as well for high income. Right. So as of the 9 days ago, in fact, on the 9th of October, one of Labor's legacies when they left, now soon to be leaving Parliament, is they brought in, and they've been discussing bringing this in for about 3 years, and they officially announced it probably 4 or 5 months ago, but they're bringing in the simplified skilled migrant category, it's called. In other words, when you get the job, as long as the job offer meets the requirements and you meet the requirements for the job offer, you will be granted a 5-year work visa. Now, Des, just on that, it's still a requirement that the spouse will get an open visa, but has to, and this hasn't been changed yet, and we're hoping it will be, but as of the 31st of May, the spouse must also get a job with an accredited employer if he or she wants to work. The salary level is not important, correct me if I'm wrong, but they must be accredited. And, oh, no, they also have to earn $29.66 an hour.
Yes, yeah. Correct. So,
please elaborate. Thanks, Des.
Sorry, I was just going to mention that it used to, the previous open partner work visa used to allow you to work for any employer at any remuneration range in any occupation. they've changed that to now be specific to accredited employers only, and you have to be earning the $29.66 per hour. The reason I think that will change is because National has made comments on this previously, where they've said that you're actually forcing partners who just want to get a foot in the door and start earning an income to find very specific employment, which might take them a while. As Andrew just mentioned, as an accountant, you're probably going to be job searching in New Zealand for quite a while. So you're forcing that accountant to now look for an excessive period of time for a job where they could be earning and just working as a bookkeeper.
Thanks for that. Okay, so 5-year work visa granted to the main applicant and the spouse, but remember at the moment there's the caveat on the spouse, must get a job with an accredited employer at a minimum $29.66. We are quietly confident that once National settles and takes power that they will remove that caveat, but you can't quote me on it because it has been discussed by them, but it hasn't been removed as yet. Then remember, you've got a 5-year visa. There are multiple ways to gain residency. The first one I showed you on the last 2 slides is being on Green List Tier 1. Now, the advantage you've got with being on Green List Tier 1 is if you're one of these occupations on that page, and hopefully you've already made the changes, taken a screenshot, and that page as well, is if you're on this, you can actually bypass the work visa. You still need the job offer, but you can bypass the work visa and do what we call a straight to residency application. It will cost a little bit more, although you won't be paying for the work visa processes, so you'll save on that. But you're going straight to residency, which means 9 times out of 10, unless you're exempt, you'll also need, anybody in the family 16 and over must sit the English test. You don't have to get too high scores, unlike Australia, when a lot of you need to nail it. New Zealand, main applicant needs to get about 6.5, for example, if it's the British Council test. And spouses need to get a sort of a 50% average. But that's only if you're on Green List Tier 1. You can still do the work visa if you're on Green List Tier 1, and then of course do the residency when you get to New Zealand, or you can bypass the work visa if your occupation and the job offer, of course, and your qualifications meets the requirements of Green List Tier 1. And that's why you should have a consultation with me, because I'll run you through that and what requirements are, et cetera, et cetera. You've also got a pathway to residency from Green List Tier 2. This is the old work to residence visa, where you were given a 2-year work to residence, and now you're given 5-year work visa, remember? And after 2 years, if you're on this list, or that's also been added, and there are going to be other ones added, etc., which is there. If you're on those lists, you will get a 5-year visa, and after 24 months of working for your company, you can then lodge your residency application on shore. And our job is to take you all the way through to residency. We might just quote you on work visas at the moment for you and your family, and then the residency portion later, because frankly, there's no real need to be paying us for residency now if we're not doing it for 2 or 3 years. But most clients, of course, under the old rules of, the old rules, you used to be able to lodge residency within about 12 months. So most of our clients, we literally took them all the way through and did their residency application. And because Desiree's in New Zealand and licensed, of course, she would be taking those applications over. If you've used us for your work visas and getting you over, and you want to use us for residency, you'd literally just drop me or Desiree an email, and we would happily take it over, because, of course, we'll have your file. We'll have all the relevant documents. It really should be relatively straightforward for us to lodge the residency processes as and when you are eligible, okay? The other way, of course, of getting in, just before I do that, these are roles that are exempt from the minimum wage, a lot of them in the tourist and hospitality sector, and, of course, in the care workforce, aged care, personal care, therapy, care assistance even, you've got here, in fact, these, Rowan, please just remind me to change that. To change those, because, of course, these ones up the top, some of them haven't, but some have been added to Green List Tier 2. And as you can see, the salary levels are a little bit less for you to be granted a visa. And Des, if you're granted the visa on, let's say you're you've got a kitchen hand here, you've got a luggage porter. I don't think I've ever immigrated as a luggage porter, but you have. they get that. Is there restrictions on this visa, Des?
So in terms of restrictions, it's just the time period that's restricted. And obviously you have to then do your stand down period of a year after this 2-year period. So it really forces you to stay in that employment sector. You can't go over and then be changing employment if you want to get residency. So it really forces you to stay in that sector for the next 2 years in order for you to get that work to residence category. What they have mentioned is you don't need to necessarily stay on this work visa. If your income is brought up to the median wage at any stage during the course of this visa, you can then apply for the 5-year visa.
And Des, just on that, the median wage is set to change in February or March?
February. So in February, they're changing it to $31.61.
$31.61. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're going now or between now and March, your minimum wage needs to be $29.66 to have a pathway to residency, or of course here. But as of February next year, if they still stick to it, it's going to $31.61 per hour. And we will, as we're going to be doing separate webinars now, we will be, of course, be able to concentrate a lot more on that. And Des, would you mind answering Mariska about hairdressers? Mariska, by the way, hairdressers are one of the few occupations. I mean, I think in the last month, we've had 3 of our hairdressers get jobs without traveling to New Zealand, which is weird, but it is. Anyway, if you would not mind, will I qualify as a trade? You'll mind asking that one, Des? And then, simplified skilled migrant category effective as of 9 days ago. You've got high income, jobs which require registration, or standard qualification points test. So let me just go over to here. There's your, again, I hope any of you are taking screenshots of all this. There's your incomes and the way they've increased over the years. And as we've already told you, in March, February next year, it's going to $31.66. So $31.61. So it's going up a couple of bucks an hour. A couple of bucks an hour. They rate it on an 8-hour or a 40-hour week. You're probably looking at about 16 times 5, about another $100 a week that you'd be making or need to be making as of when they make the changes in February, March next year. So most of our, unless you're earning higher incomes, most of our clients with qualifications will be getting in based on their qualifications. Getting in on the job offer, of course, but then getting residency based on a mixture of their work experience and qualifications. And here are the qualification points. You need 6 points in order to lodge residency. So you might be saying, well, hold on, I've got a PhD right now. Does that mean I can lodge residency? No. Don't ask me why, but the answer is no. You've still got to get the job offer, and you've still got to work for a period of time. And that period, as yet, hasn't been defined. We're guessing it'll probably be around 3 to 6 months, but we are guessing that. You'll need to get over there, get your job started, etc. But there are your points. Standard degree, of course, 3, honours 4, master's 5, and doctorate is 6. And there are your points for working in New Zealand. So let's say you've got a standard BCom degree and you're working in a marketing environment, for example. So you've got a 5-year visa, you're getting 3 points for your qualification, and you're getting 3 points for 36 months work in New Zealand. There's your 6 points. Okay. And clearly, if you've got a honours, then you'd only have to work for 2 years. If you've got a master's, you're going to have to work for somewhere between 6 to 12 months, etc. But if you've got a PhD, that's just the one thing we haven't actually been, none of the agencies, and it hasn't been published, hasn't been made a legislative instrument yet, but I'm sure National will get to it. Okay, there's the points for your wages: 3 times the median wage, 2 times, or 1.5 times. There's the points you can get. So let's say you don't have a qualification, but you are a senior manager, and you're getting a job at $120,000 odd a year, for example. That's clearly that would be 2 times the minimum wage. Be 3 times the minimum wage. $29 to $30 times 3. No, yeah. So you can get the extra points by way of your salary level, as opposed to, of course, having the qualification. You might have both. all right, which means you'll be way over the selection mark, but you need the 6 points, and these are the ways to get them. You'll also get points if you're in a job which requires licensing. Now, I'm not going to go through the next slides because, well, I can quickly, I mean, all medical specialists, of course, medical practitioners, dietitians, midwives, chiropractors, nurses, etc., paramedics, pharmacists, physiotherapists, teachers, social workers, vets. By the way, they're in big demand. Vets especially in big demand in New Zealand. Registered teachers, early childhood, as Peter said, most of our early childhood teachers are getting jobs offshore. If you're a secondary school teacher and you're teaching maths, I've actually spoke to a lady last week. She got 3 job offers, and one of our maths teachers prior to that got 5 job offers. So depending on what you teach, if you're in secondary school, you could get a job quite easily offshore. And then, of course, you've got electricians and plumbers and cable jointers and, line mechanics, etc. So you might be in a mixture of a few things. You might have the trade, and, of course, your trade requires registration, and therefore your work experience wouldn't need to be 1, 2, or 3 years because, of course, once you're licensed, you could claim 3 points for your qualification, perhaps, if you can, and maybe 3 points for your licensing. So, again, this is the reasons we need to speak to you. This is the reasons that you should be taking advice from an agent that clearly is happy to give you the advice for free. All of the information we give you is available on websites, but clearly it's, we know these rules and regulations, and even, especially me, but even we're learning things every day. We're learning how to present and process applications and send them to immigration every day. So, even if you don't hire us, taking our advice would be, and if you don't take it, it's up to you. But if you take it because it's free, then you should, because it's offered to you for free. Just be careful of agencies. Listen, a lot of agencies charge for their initial consultation. They do, and that's their right. I'm not downgrading that at all. But we have decided, especially we used to charge for consultations. We don't anymore. Especially due to the COVID crisis. We're actually here to help people. And if they do engage our services, we'd be honoured to assist them, clearly. And this is, again, architects and plumbers. I mean, we've all gone through that. As I said, there's lots of trades. Right, relocation is a free service. It's part of our services. Rose Nightingale runs that. She, when it comes to flights, furniture, meeting at airports, accommodation, opening bank accounts, shifting monies, you'd literally just email rose@networkmigration.com and tell her what you want. And this is free services to put you in touch with the relevant people that will give you the information and the quotes on doing those types of things for you. Right. Des, I'm pretty much finished. Are we anything I've missed?
No, nothing you've missed. I have answered questions as I've seen them. So if anyone has a specific question, they can just put it in the chat room and I'll happily respond.
Thank you, Des, and I really appreciate you joining me. I know it's early in the morning over there, but thank you for joining me for the last hour. And I wanted to say thank you for everybody else for joining us. Just as an end note, I've been doing this for 30 years. Des has been doing it, gosh, I don't know now, 6, 7, 8?
9.
9 years. We take this really seriously. In Causey, please contact us. We did just show you a slide that said a care worker can get in. They're on a special list, but Des is answering you now, I think.
Yeah, it's actually not on any tier because the tiers are specific to the green list. So this is not a green list occupation. They've actually made a sector agreement with health and transport and construction sectors. So it gives you a very specific pathway to residency. So yes, please do send us that CV and we can then send you the processes under the sector agreement for healthcare workers.
Thanks so much. Because we only had an hour tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We can't go through everything in an hour. That's why use the personal touch. Come and see us. And as I was just saying, this is your life we're talking about here. We take that extremely seriously, more seriously than you probably think we would take it. We get very emotionally involved with our clients, and all we ask you to do is treat us with the respect that we treat you. We understand that this is emotional, this is expensive, and this is a process that you've never done, but we do it. This is what we do for a living. So let us hold your hand through this process from beginning to end, and we would be honored to assist you. And even if you don't engage us to assist you, at least find out how to do it. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Desiree. Have a fantastic day. We'll chat my morning, your nighttime in a few hours. and looking forward to chatting to you. And once again, thank you for joining the meeting this evening. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. Ciao. Ciao, Des.
Bye.
Bye.